only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Ask not what your country can do for you.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of For the Republic. We are your hosts, Nico and Brittany Fideli.
I'm Brittany Fideli.
Yes, you are. And I think you're identifying as the birthing person in our pregnancy?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
great.
This time.
This time.
I might let you have it next time.
Maybe next time. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
It's too much for you.
Sometimes.
Transcend the baby to me.
Yeah.
The next one. Yeah.
We could do like one of those like things where you have to wear a belly.
Yeah.
You know, they have like the fake baby bumps or whatever.
Yeah. Isn't that like a thing that they did like in high school back in the day? To, like, deter people from getting pregnant, they would like have like the students wear fake baby bumps and stuff. And then they
I don't know if that's a thing. I
don't
was
know.
homeschooled.
Oh yeah, that's right. I always forget that.
My mom did not have to make me wear a fake belly to deter me from pregnancy.
I remember there was this whole thing with like a sack of flour, and then you had like a little egg on it. And you had to carry around the sack of flour and the egg.
Did you have to have one of those fake babies?
No, I didn't. Well, I think I had a fake baby in health class, but it was like an actual like baby doll, and it would cry and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what the point of those are.
I don't know.
Because most of the boys are like, we don't want kids anyway, and then most of the girls are like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier than I thought it was gonna be.
yeah, that's because it's an inanimate object.
Yeah, well, wait till it spreads poop all over your walls, kid.
All right, well, anyways, we got on a little tangent there. Make sure you like and subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when there will be a new episode. We are here every Sunday night on YouTube at 7 p.m. And if you are listening to the podcast today, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Helps us.
If you're going to leave anything less than a 5-star review, don't do it.
Don't do it. Just kidding. 5 stars only.
5-star reviews only.
Yeah. Now, we'll take the constructive criticism. You know, I always enjoy when we get likes and feedback and stuff like that. But last week, I got to say, I was pretty excited when we got our first dislikes on our short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you know you've made it big.
Yeah, made it big. Here we are.
Made it big when you've got the dislikes.
Yeah.
When people take the time to actually like criticize or dislike your stuff, that's how you know you've made it big. Because you've pushed enough buttons.
Yeah.
That they feel the need to comment on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
It's good
well,
stuff.
Maybe we'll stir up some more waters today. We got a jam-packed show, and we might get a little critical of our commander-in-chief.
Packed full of jam.
No
peanut butter.
No peanut butter? All right, yeah. So we're going to start off the show today talking about President Biden, and then we'll get into Ukraine after that. So without further ado, we got a nice little presentation for you guys, and we're going to go through it here real quick.
Civilized, true and international effort to pressure. And you ain't black.
All right.
It cracks me up every time.
Oh, man. So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about the top 10 Biden failures in this presidency.
Yes, it has to be his presidency because if we had to go through his whole career.
Yeah, we'd be here a while.
We'd be here a long time.
And we
want to be more than 10.
Want to be respectful of your time, so.
Top 100.
Yeah, top 100.
That's what we'd have
1,000.
100,000.
All right, we're going to kick it off at number one. Number one, President Biden signed a whopping 22 executive orders in his first week in office. That is more than the last 7 presidents combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had, I think the next biggest one was 5. I think it was Obama, I think.
Okay.
I don't know, I think either Obama or Trump, because one signed like 4 and one signed 5, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Really close to 22, though.
Yeah, a little bit less. Among those one of them was preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. Another one, protecting the federal workforce and requiring mask wearing, and ensuring an equitable pandemic response and recovery.
Good stuff right there.
Yeah. Sorry, my PowerPoint stopped working for a second. There we go.
Yeah.
Number 2.
I don't know what you were doing there.
I don't know. We're back at it now.
He's getting demoted this week. I'm just kidding. So number 2, one such executive order, like we were just talking about, that was the really popular canceling of the Keystone pipeline. The pipeline runs from Canada to Nebraska and would generate an estimated 800,000 barrels of oil a day. Something we could probably use right about now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, right about at this point when gas is like, for us it's like $4 a gallon for
Yeah, for us.
for other people, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
So more than 1,000 jobs were lost with the canceling of the Keystone pipeline, and more than 10,000 potential jobs that were expected to be created for the pipeline operation were also lost.
So that executive order about ensuring equitable pandemic response and recovery didn't work out. So
Well, see, what happened is he was like planning to do some sort of green plan with jobs. But I guess they couldn't find enough Oompa Loompas or something. Wait, no, they're orange, aren't they?
Yeah.
They have green hair.
I was like,
Shoot,
whoa,
who's
where did that come-
green?
I don't, Martians? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, that's why he opened the borders.
Ah.
Illegal aliens.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Anyways, next one.
Canceled.
Number 3. President Biden also rejoined who? The World Health Organization and the Paris Climate Accord. And both of these are complete failures, in my opinion.
They are a joke.
Yeah, let's
A
not
woke joke.
let's not forget there was the World Health Organization that said that COVID did not come from a lab, and they've been pretty much wrong on everything with COVID. And Paris Climate Accord, I'm not really sure what they do, but it doesn't seem like they do much.
Well, since global warming is it's a farce.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they do either.
Well, I mean, I think President Biden obviously doesn't think it's interesting because I'm pretty sure he fell asleep at that meeting. So,
Yeah. Probably.
Oh,
Not
what's
surprised. So number
what we got
4,
next?
like I just said, President Biden embraced an open border policy.
Wow.
Yeah, creating a border crisis in Texas. So illegal border crossings soared from 330,000 in 2020 to a whopping 1.52 million in 2021.
Wow.
It's a little bit of a jump.
That is a big jump.
He got daring. Somebody was like, "You know what, Biden? I bet you can't do it." And he was like, "Oh yeah, watch me." So he censored media and attempted to limit the footage of the illegal crossings and the holding facilities. He lied about, I think we have actually a picture of one of the holding facilities there. He lied about Border Patrol agents whipping migrants. Also pictured, the famous whipping.
Yeah.
I think what happened, he stole the border agents to go order.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So the border agent
I
was
never
like,
noticed that he was holding styrofoam containers. I haven't seen this image blown up like that before.
"Give me back my food."
Oh, I see it. Also, he's got like a fanny pack or something around his neck too.
Every cool migrant has a fanny pack.
Yeah.
And snacks.
This image was just captured. It's like such a great, like, I don't know, like an artistic moment. Like the horse and everything, like the facial expressions of both the Border Patrol agent and the guy. Like, I mean, that smile though.
Yeah. The smile. He looks like he's being whipped, right? With that smile.
Yeah.
So neither President Biden or Vice President Kamala Harris visited the border at the height of the crisis. In fact, Kamala Harris, who is supposed to be in charge of this whole border stuff, she's like the ambassador or whatever. She didn't visit the U.S.-Mexican border until the end of June.
Didn't she visit like Honduras or something?
I can't say. I can't remember. I know what you're talking about, but I can't say.
Yeah.
And then she visited at the end of June. It was like June 25th, I believe, was her visit to the border after months of border crisis going on. And it was actually just a little while after Trump announced his planned visit to the border. And they said that they think it was in response to Trump, although the vice president's camp denied it. But normally she announces her team announces her travel plans at the beginning of the week. And this was just kind of like impromptu announced right after Trump announced his visit. So.
Yeah. So I think we've seen so far that this administration is very reactionary to criticism. So it doesn't seem like they do the right thing. First and foremost, they always do something in reaction to criticism or something like that. So
I feel like that's the entire Democratic Party right now.
yeah, yep. So what do we got next? What is this? Number 5. Number 5. President Biden continued his atrocities in foreign policy in July when protests broke out in Cuba. The president condemned the Cuban government's response of violence against their own people, but did nothing to aid those affected by the violence and government retaliation. So we covered this pretty extensively,
Hmm.
and you can go back and watch that episode. But there was a lot of things that I think that America fell short in providing assistance to Cuba.
Hmm.
I really think this was a an opportunity to end the regime, the communist regime in Cuba, and I really believe that Cuba could have been a free nation today with very little, I guess, very little risk for America.
Right.
I think that the risk of America was very, very low,
Hmm.
and the reward would have been very, very high, I think.
Yes, and I think if you want to go back and refresh your memory on the situation, going back and looking at what Marco Rubio had to say, he had a really great plan put
Mhm.
together to aid Cuba and to help them in their path to kind of freedom from their tyrannical government. And President Joe Biden didn't want any part of it,
Mhm.
so we just kind of said something like, "We stand with the people of Cuba" or something, and then
Yeah, very similar.
turned off the TV.
Very similar to what is happening in the or what happened in the next point right here in Afghanistan, and very similar to what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. I feel like.
Yeah, so number 6 was happened in August. It's kind of funny because you can go like almost right through. It's like, you know, July, August,
Yeah.
September. So in August, foreign policy crumbled even further with a disastrous pullout in Afghanistan. So 13 service members were killed, as I'm sure everybody remembers. Numerous civilians and allies were either killed or left behind. We had that famous missile strike where they
Yeah.
they missile struck a SUV with some children and a foreign ally
Yep.
worker
Yep.
inside. This was this still actually is the famous picture of them doing the dignified
Funeral for the fallen soldiers.
yeah,
Right.
so like it's like the crossing where they bring them out of the planes
Yeah,
and they bring
yep.
them back onto American soil, and Joe Biden was checking his watch.
Yeah.
It was probably the highlight of his I can't even. So, so large portions of the Christian church were either executed or disbanded. Tens of millions of dollars in military equipment was left behind, and Biden outright lied numerous times, actually, about what was happening in Afghanistan and how his administration was handling the situation. So you can see some of our beloved equipment.
Yeah. And what do we got in September? September brought the federal employee vaccine mandate requiring all federal workers and contractors to be vaccinated for COVID-19. This order came only days after the Pfizer vaccine became the first FDA-approved vaccine despite not undergoing the full trial testing. So a lot of backlash for
Good
this.
times.
And a lot of, it seems like COVID is on the back burner right now because of everything going on, but we're still right in the thick of these mandates and not quite resolved all the way yet. So we're still
Right.
dealing the aftermath of that.
You know, it's funny because like a lot of people were like talking about it, well, I'll feel safe getting the jab.
Mm-hmm.
I'll feel safe getting the jab once the FDA approves it. I think if anybody feels safe with something the FDA approves, they should go watch that documentary that was on like Netflix or whatever. And they talked about
the that was about the medical equipment.
yeah,
Right,
they
yeah.
talk about like all of the medical equipment failures and stuff,
Yeah.
and like people who are affected by it. Just
Yeah.
a little interesting thing if you have love and
Yeah,
trust of the FDA.
The FDA process for drugs, I want to give them at least a little bit of credit. The drug portion is far more extensive than medical equipment, but there's still a lot of shortcomings, and that
Especially shortcomings when you don't actually make it through the full.
right, that
trial.
documentary really reveals on how it's easy to cut corners and it's easy to bypass regulations that are supposedly set up by the FDA. So
Right. So then following the federal employee mandate, number 8 would be in November.
Yeah.
In November, when President Biden announced that all privately owned companies with more than 100 employees would also be forced to require COVID-19 vaccinations for their workers. So this mandate was aimed at the estimated 84 million private sector workers. It was mostly to try to force them to get vaccinated because there was still such a large portion that had not been vaccinated at that point. Despite being blocked by the Supreme Court in January, Biden has continuously told private businesses that they still need to go ahead and enact this policy anyway. And many private sector businesses did before the Supreme Court shut it down, causing people to choose between employment and making their own health decisions.
Yep. And in between his announcement in September and this invoking of this vaccine in October is when I lost my job. So,
Yep.
So yeah.
On your birthday.
Yeah, on my birthday.
Best birthday you ever had, probably.
There was lots of private organizations that reacted to, even though the vaccine mandate from the federal government didn't really stick all that well. There was still a lot of private companies that reacted to it and did something similar.
Right.
So a lot of people were still affected by it. So.
Yes.
Number 9, right? We
Yes.
got 9. Yep.
Number
The
9.
latest failure was covered in detail during our last episode when we talked about the Canadian Freedom Convoy and President Biden's support of dictator Justin Trudeau. Yes, dictator Justin Trudeau. Yep. So the president expressed his support of Trudeau's power grab and his extreme measures to shut down the protests. He thanked Trudeau for his efforts to keep the borders open and flowing to avoid American workers from being inconvenienced by shortages.
Yeah.
And those power grabs,
The famous trampling.
Yep, the famous trampling. Those power grabs resulted in people getting hurt, people getting trampled. Doesn't really look like much police work to me. It looks like
Wait, that's not what you're supposed to do as a police officer?
no, it looks more like a Gestapo police force.
Oh. I must have gotten really confused because after watching this, I was like, man, I'll join the police force if I get to beat people with sticks. Kidding.
Oh, man. Yeah, so there was a lot of retaliation from the government of Canada from peaceful protesting. And we talked about people getting dragged out of their trucks. We talked about people who were just doing normal peaceful things that would be appropriate here in the United States and being taken away to jail, being fined.
I don't know. Is peaceful protesting appropriate here in the United States? Because I think we did talk about that in the last episode.
At least it's supposed to be.
Oh. I thought you had to like burn stuff up down and like
Yeah, I mean,
loot
if you wanted to guarantee that you wouldn't be criticized, then yeah, you can just burn stuff down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then finally, number 10, we get to inflation and gas prices. So inflation is hit a record high in 2021 at 4.7%. It shows no signs of slowing down. In fact, they think that by the end of 2022, we're looking at about 11% if things keep going in the direction that they're going in. Speaker Jen Psaki has repeatedly defended inflation.
60% gas? Holy cow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So, so we're going to get to that actually. Speaker Psaki repeatedly defended inflation, saying that inflation is a sign of a growing economy. It's a sign of the economy improving, right, people? And then gas prices are expected to hit an all-time high in the next few weeks due to the Russian invasion into Ukraine. Gas prices rose over $1 a gallon in 2021, and that's about 62%. And they have continued to climb. I think we've got another still of California.
Oh yeah.
Good old Cali, our communist state across
Look at that. $6.
across the tundra here. So they've continued to climb and are continuing to climb since the beginning of 2022.
I will say I've never seen the regular plus and supreme. Like I've never seen all of those so close together.
So close together, yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
There was actually a couple stills of this. This was just the clearest one I could get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
We went through the top 10.
Top 10. Bum bum bum.
Mobilize true and international effort to pressure. And you ain't black.
Just wrap that up.
Yeah, just wrap that up. That's
in
how
a pretty little package.
Yep, little package.
So, speaking of gas prices, we've got the Russian invasion into the Ukraine.
Yeah, that's the hot button issue this week. Russia invaded Ukraine on Thursday, the 24th. It was early Thursday morning, so it was like Wednesday night for us here in the U.S. Russia attacked Ukraine early Thursday morning, and Putin announced his invasion, calling for Ukraine to lay down arms. He said numerous times that if the Ukrainian military would lay down their arms, that they would peacefully take over their land. So that's reassuring, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds like a good deal. Like if someone just came to the house and they were like, hey, lay down your guns and we'll just peacefully take over your house and live there and force you to do what we want you to do, I'd be like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, geez, take them.
So the Putin is
Heavy
very
anyway.
very strategic and a very smart in the way that he talks and the way that he addresses. It seems very professional.
Whoa, now you're getting a little too Trump in here.
Oh, am I praising him too much?
You might be praising him too much.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry. Putin bad. Bad Putin.
Putin dumb. Dumb Putin.
No, it's very important to point out that because if you watch the way that Putin talks, he talks about he says things like separatist. He says words like separatist. He says words like independence. He says things like that, and it's very important that we clearly define what he's actually talking about. And we'll get into that. So to continue further on Thursday, there was explosions that were heard in Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. And Russia immediately started targeting airports and cities with airstrikes.
I believe, wasn't there something like 14?
Yeah,
air
11. I think 11 airstrikes in the first night, or 11 airports in the first night that they attacked. So, Russia backed separatists to take over Ukraine-controlled territory. So, meaning that there were Russian sympathizers in Ukraine territories, and they kind of not necessarily like sleeper cells, but they were there ready for when Russia was going to come in, and they kind of got activated, if you will. So Ukraine citizens who were Ukraine citizens.
Was one of them Angelina Jolie?
I don't know. I don't get that reference.
It's from Salt. She was a Russian. She was a Russian sleeper cell person in Salt, right?
Right. Yeah, dude. Salt was such a bad movie.
I can't remember all of it, but that's what she did, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Until they killed her husband, and then she went rogue.
Yeah. Yep. So Ukraine ended up fighting back on Thursday and shot down some Russian planes, and in just that short couple of hours, Ukraine declared martial law, and the president of Ukraine said that adult men between the ages 18 through 60 cannot leave the country. So, in just 3 hours into the invasion, the Russian military already entered Ukraine and Crimea. Their military advanced, and they had tanks rolling up, and they kind of just entered in.
Rolled in.
They kind of rolled in.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's important to point out that Putin claimed that they were only targeting military, but there's plenty of videos and plenty of information out there that shows that they were not targeting military.
Just last night they blew up an apartment building.
Yep, and we'll talk about that. At this point, and Thursday, there was at least a dozen peaceful civilians that have been killed. So, moving into Friday, Ukraine's president Volodymyr Zelensky said that at least 137 civilians were killed, and 316 of them have been wounded. The subways turned into bomb shelters overnight, and Russian tanks were running over people in their cars. Yeah, targeting those military.
It's crazy. We don't have the video, right?
No.
So if you haven't seen the video is quite literally a Russian tank driving down the road, and he sees a car coming, and he just swerves across the lanes.
Right, completely diverts where he's going.
Yeah, just swerves over and runs a car over. This person's just driving down the road, just completely runs them over, sits on their car for probably 5 to 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And then backs over it.
Yeah.
And then drives away.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting.
So you can see the intent here is not just a military action that is, it's not that one group of people thinks that they should have this group of land and that they're going to take it. They're going to follow a Geneva Convention. They're going to follow rules of engagement. No, this is outright just like basically, I don't know, a terroristical, like just evil takeover. So like don't think that this is diplomatic in any way. This is a straight war, and this has been probably one of the greatest invasions since World War II, I think, by Hitler. So it's pretty serious stuff. Also on Friday, there were missile strikes on apartment buildings, and Putin threatened military action against Finland and Sweden because they said that they would join NATO if it was necessary for their survival.
Yep.
So
he threatened them. He's threatened NATO. He's threatened the United States. He's threatened anybody who is planning on getting involved or planning on interfering with his tactics or with his invasion into the Ukraine. In fact, when President Biden did his political showboat thing. I don't know where he issued some sanctions
Yeah.
that were they're pretty much just they're kind of just like a show. It's not they're not
Right.
real serious sanctions here. Putin's response was the Americans will feel this in their gas prices. So he went right away because we import about 600,000 barrels of oil from Russia a day. Amazing how we could have gotten 800,000 barrels from our Keystone pipeline.
Yeah.
But who's to say that was a bad decision canceling that thing? So we import oil from them. So the first thing he did was threaten that, Americans are going to feel that in their rising gas prices. So if you were anywhere near a low priced gas station on, what was it, Tuesday that we were out?
Tuesday.
But it was before. Oh no, actually no, it wasn't. It was Thursday because it was right after the invasion, and so we actually we knew at that point that like the invasion happened. So there was like just lines of people.
Oh right.
Like just way backed up looking for and at the lower priced gas stations there were just lines and lines of people just waiting to fill up their cars because they're just anticipating the gas prices to soar here.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty good. Biden's response has been lackluster.
Oh yeah. We'll definitely get into that. So on Saturday.
Oh boy, we got more.
Yeah.
More has happened. Holy cow!
See the notes?
Yeah.
Should read. Getting a little ahead of the game, man.
Oh.
Just trying to take over, huh?
Yeah. It's the spirit of takeover. So on Saturday, the death tolls increased even more to 198 civilians killed and over 1,000 have been wounded. And there are conflicting reports. I saw one report saying that 33 children died and one said 3. So I don't know if that was a typo on either one, but at least 3 children. Somewhere between 3 and 33.
Somewhere between 3 and 33 children have died, which I mean, any more than 1 is, or any more than 0, I should say.
Any more than 1.
Any more than
Oh
1.
boy.
We're allowed 1.
No, any more than 0.
Any more than 0 is, of course, a tragedy. So, and obviously not a military action that would be considered humane. I would say at no point should it be okay to just kill children who are unarmed and probably playing hopscotch or something.
Probably.
Yeah. Or sheltering. But so in the midst of the chaos, there were some conflicting reports about Ukraine's response and specifically what the president was calling them to do. So it was actually came out like spread on TikTok and stuff like that where they were calling Ukraine to, I don't know if it was like Russian propaganda or something, but there was videos and stuff like that calling Ukraine to lay down arms and stuff like that. And this is coming from the government to lay down your arms, like you don't
Fake
fight.
news on TikTok?
But the president, Vladimir Zelensky, actually tweeted out what he wanted to clear things up, and we have a clip of that. So he's saying there's a lot of fake news that I'm calling on the army to put down its arms and evacuate. Here's how it is. I'm here. We are not going to put down any arms. We will protect our country because our weapons are our truth. The truth is that this is our land, our country, our children, and we will protect them all. That is it. That's what I wanted to tell you. Glory to Ukraine.
Ось це і є те, що я хотів вам сказати. Слава Україні.
Yeah. So,
Stuff.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, he also said on Saturday, I believe, actually. No, actually, it could have been Friday. I can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, that President Biden offered him a plane ride out of the Capitol and out of the country to save his life. And he said, I need ammunition, not a ride out. So I thought that was pretty good. He plans on staying there and fighting for his country. And
yeah, absolutely.
I think it also shows what Joe Biden would do if somebody was attacking the U.S.
Yeah.
Clearly he's taking a plane out.
Shows your true colors.
He ain't going to stay.
But yeah, so
nobody's handing him an AR.
It's pretty serious on what's going on in Ukraine, and it's a shame how the U.S. kind of has always covered foreign policy because we've kind of been protected in our cocoon of freedom. I know hopefully that reigns for 1,000 years or so, but I don't know if it's going to the way we're going. So, but the thing is, I think that it's really important to know how serious things are abroad, and this is a really serious thing that's happening. And I came across this video on TikTok that I wanted to show that really kind of captures how serious things are over there. This soldier is only 21 years old and he is fighting for his country. He is the only soldier guarding this footbridge in Kiev, and he feels terrified for his family. After Russian forces surrounded his home village,
there are a Russian base in my village, and from my village they're gonna go here on Kyiv to capture it. Yeah, it's really scary and terrifying. I am called to my parents. They really scared. There's Russians in our village, enemies. There's tanks, heavy vehicle. I hope that they will be fine.
yeah.
Is he the one who blew himself up?
No, he's not the one that blew himself up.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, there was also, I think that was Thursday or Friday, right? That happened, or was that Saturday?
I think it was either. I think it might have been early Saturday for us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. There was also somebody who, blew himself up on a bridge.
Yeah.
Who?
He was guarding the bridge, and to prevent
Yeah.
them from getting through, he blew himself up on the bridge, destroying the bridge.
No, I saw a picture of him. That wasn't the same one. But yeah. So it's crazy that that the Ukraine. It's crazy to me that he's the only one guarding that bridge.
Yeah.
120, like that's the resources that they have in Ukraine.
I sympathize with the Ukrainian people. I have a little bone to pick with the Ukrainian government, because this is something that has been building for a long time.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about here. Why is Russia invading Ukraine? But this is something that's been going on now for years, for the last 20 years. We're talking about going back into the presidency of Clinton, and it was only Wednesday that they started handing out guns to the civilians. So in the Ukraine, you can't just have guns, which I think is a perfect, just a little pro-gun plug. This is a perfect example of why everybody should be able to own an AR with a
pro-gun
30-round
sponsor here,
a 30-round magazine, or whatever round magazine you want to have, because most people aren't going to be stupid and do something illegal with it. Most people are going to legally use their weapons the way that they're supposed to be used. But this is a perfect example of why you should not let your government take away your ammunition or your guns or your freedom or anything else.
Yeah.
So pro-gun,
nice rant.
Pro-gun ownership. But it was only then that the Ukraine started handing out ARs and weapons to their people, and they said anybody
preparation here.
Right, anybody who wants to defend the country, we're gonna give guns out to. Why weren't you doing this I don't know, a while ago?
Yeah.
Before today.
Right.
You know what I mean? You've known this was coming. This has been building now, not just for years, but it's been more intensely escalated in the last few months. So it's definitely something that you knew was coming. You knew that Putin was going to invade Russia. You knew that he waited for the right president. He waited for he waited for dementiated Joe, and then once he got him in there, he has spent the last few months preparing for this moment.
I saw a Daily Wire article that talked about how the Biden administration got intelligence that Russia was thinking about invading Ukraine, and they gave that intelligence to China, and they entrusted China to do something with that intelligence, and instead they gave it over to Russia.
Yeah, China gave over the intelligence to Russia.
So,
yep. Yeah, I saw the same thing. And it's just been it's been crazy nonsense from President Biden. If you remember when he was campaigning, he had a little tidbit where he said, Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be elected because he knows I'm the only one who's going to be tough on him, and I'm the only one who's not going to allow him to invade Ukraine, and blah, blah, blah. And it's well, you did a really good job holding that face for a whole year, knucklehead. So President Biden's been pretty despicable in his response on this. But what exactly is the bone to pick with the Ukraine? Why is Russia invading the Ukraine?
Yeah. So, well, the bone to pick with Ukraine, I think, is the lack of preparation. I think
Not
so.
our bone to pick with the
What?
Ukraine. What's Russia's bone to pick with the Ukraine?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Why are they picking on
I see.
Ukraine on the
I
playground?
see. I was trying to save your segue, thinking that it wasn't a good segue, but it was actually a good segue. So
You
yeah,
done messed up,
done,
Ron.
done messed up. But yeah, so the bone to pick with Ukraine, I think the reason why Russia is invading Ukraine, to know that, I think we have to look at history,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of theories.
What is history?
What is history? You know,
We need to explain that to our young viewers because
um,
they probably don't know. They don't teach it in school anymore.
did you ever get that, like, is that old timey, like, Pentecostal? The reason why it's called history, it's because it's his story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
it is
I've
so
heard-
deep.
I've heard those good ones.
Yeah,
Yeah, what do we call those? The Bible or Christianese?
yeah,
Christianese sayings.
Christianese, yeah.
Those Christianese sayings. You know,
Oh,
only
man, I
only
remember-
you can be better or
Yeah.
something. You know, there's always like there's a what is it? What's a really good one? It's a really good
Like
one.
Christianese lingo. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Christianese one. There's that one that's like you were chosen for a purpose, or you were chosen on purpose for a purpose,
Oh,
or
yeah,
with
there
a
you
purpose,
go.
or something. Yeah,
Woo!
you were chosen on purpose for a purpose.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man,
Yes, that's a good one.
hits me deep
Yeah.
in
Anyways.
my spleen.
Moving on. So, it's the Russian-Ukrainian history is a little bit messy, I think, a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's very similar when I was doing research on it. Very similar to kind of tensions in the Middle East between Israel and surrounding nations. So the Washington, or was it the New York Times? The New York Times has a really good article on this about the history between Russia and Ukraine.
I'm still shocked that you said the New York Times has a good article.
Yeah, yeah. Every once in a while,
I did not see that coming.
I was gonna say blue moon, but I feel like there's more blue moons than good articles from the New York Times. So, but anyway, so the two founding members of the Soviet Union was actually the Russia and Ukraine. To briefly recap the relations between Russia and Ukraine, in 1922, Russia and Ukraine became the two founding members of the Soviet Union, and in 1991, the Soviet Union was terminated via a treaty, and Ukraine became independent, beginning its transition into the market economy.
Right. So, Putin's whole goal has been to reunite the Soviet Union. Obviously, that doesn't exclusively end with the Ukraine. The Ukraine
Yeah.
is just the first of many places he's got to take over to reunite the Soviet Union. I believe that the reason that he is going after Ukraine is because Ukraine is so rich in natural resources. So actually, Russia tried to do this a few years ago, realized that they couldn't because they depended too much on Ukraine's oil for energy.
Mhm.
So they actually had to go back to their own country and establish independence with their own oil, their own pipelines, and so on and so forth, which is why we now import 600,000 or so barrels
Yeah.
from them a day.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you see conflicts happen with other countries as well. I believe that Putin he has a vision to establish a new world order, and that would include Russia and China being on top. I think Russia and China are in cahoots with each other, and I wouldn't be surprised that it's not a coincidence that China is putting pressure on Taiwan. I wouldn't be surprised if those tensions increase in the near future.
Mhm.
And so the purpose of this, of course, would be to put pressure against the Europe and the West, being the United States, and the end goal would be for China and Russia to rise as the world superpowers, and to have America and Europe fall of being the superpowers that they
Right.
are now. So
Right. Yeah. So Putin really has it out for Europe. He especially has
Yeah.
it out for NATO because that's kind of what sparked, I think, his response now. Kind of why he started now. What the encouragement was for him to go now is that the Ukraine was planning on. Or it looked like they may have been planning on joining the NATO forces, and
Yeah.
so he kind of threatened them and was like, "Don't you dare!" And
Yeah.
then they were like, "Don't tell us what to do." And then he was like, "Oh yeah, watch me invade your
Right.
country."
Yeah.
So
I-
kind
yeah,
of what
I
sparked that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I definitely think more so is true is that I think it's our president that has really gave him the opportunity to
No.
Yeah, so I think that the softness of Biden through Afghanistan, Cuba, just been a foreign policy debacle in this administration. I think has really given Putin the opportunity. Yeah, he was threatened that Ukraine would join NATO. Yes, he wants the resources of Ukraine, but I think this was his prime opportunity because of how
Right.
soft Biden is.
Right.
So,
Definitely weak economic sanctions, weak foreign policy, weak
yeah.
response to anything that's happening foreign or domestic. Honestly, it's his presidency has been quite a mess, and
Yeah.
I definitely think if you were entertaining pretty much any other president in the last, I mean, even if you look at Obama, yes, there was conflict during Obama's presidency, but even his responses, with foreign policy was astronomically better, and his were not great.
Yeah,
So,
and just to put that in a button on how bad Obama's foreign policy actually was, he told Russia to lay off until the election, and he would go easy on him. So to compare
No.
Biden to Obama, saying that Biden is worse, that's really saying something.
Yeah. I actually I saw a poll earlier that they said the majority of Americans believe that Biden's first year as president was a failure.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right. And to further
Because
perpetuate,
all the dead people who voted for him weren't able to vote in the poll.
right? Yes, they lost those votes.
Conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy. Yeah, but I think we actually have some footage on the address that Biden gave in reaction to Russia invading Ukraine.
Nope.
Oh dear. No, that's
not it.
That's the wrong one. Sorry.
When the history of this era is written, Putin's choice to make a totally unjustifiable war on Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Liberty, democracy, human dignity, these are the forces far more powerful than fear and oppression. They cannot be extinguished by tyrants like Putin and his armies.
Yes. So
And I swear, I don't know what medication they give this guy.
so Biden thought it was a good idea to say to Putin that history is going to look poorly on history has its eyes on you, Putin, if you do this. Yeah, I don't really think he really cares.
I wonder what history is going to say about Joe Biden.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I don't think it's going to look really lightly on him either.
What is this farce about? It's going to make Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger.
Yeah.
In what world does war make the rest of the world stronger?
Yeah, I don't understand how. No, in reality, if Ukraine lays down their arms and if the U.S. doesn't do anything, Russia will be stronger and the rest of the world will be weaker.
Right.
So I don't.
It makes no sense to me. I don't know. Maybe he's looking back at World War II and he forgot how it worked. But
Yeah.
Nobody ended World War II. Oh man, we feel so much more powerful.
Yeah, and I love how he
know.
says that at the end there he talks about freedom and how it can't be quenched by the armies of Russia.
After literally just endorsing Justin Trudeau going through with the police force being Canadians.
Yeah, that and also that
Ironic.
statement is not true when it's not true. I mean, how many Ukrainians have died trying to fight
Right.
for freedom? Obviously the armies will crush freedom if they allow it to. So
Right.
I mean, if they overcome and if they overpower the ones who want freedom, then yes, they will quench freedom. I just don't understand it's a very diplomatic Obama-esque way, but he just doesn't have the same finesse. You know what I mean? He doesn't have the same speech
when he's talking about human dignity.
Yeah. So I mean,
human.
human.
Yeah, did you hear him? The way he says human.
Oh,
he says human dignity.
Human dignity.
Human dignity.
Human dignity. But yeah, so this address was not received well.
Nope.
And again, the Biden administration had to wait for a blunder in order to actually do something. So after the address, he realized that he had to do more than just talk about freedom not being quenched.
Mm-hmm.
He decided to greenlight $350 million of military aid. According to Reuters, the Pentagon sent weapons, including anti-armor, small arms, body armor, and various munitions in support of Ukraine's frontline defenders. The State Department also said that it included anti-aircraft systems. So $350 million, I don't think is anything to scoff at, but in comparison, Obama was giving Egypt $1.3 billion of military aid every year, and that was while there was an Israeli-Egypt conflict. So it's interesting that the comparison there, how quick we are to give military aid to those who are against us, but yet when it comes to people who need our help.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like it's almost like like the bully on the playground. He like tries to steal your lunch, and America's like, no, like we're gonna pack you a lunch, and we're gonna put all the best of the best in there. So hopefully you won't bully us in the future.
Right.
And then it just like never works.
Yeah.
But foreign policy wise, it never works. I mean, like you have Iran who's just been sitting over there like collecting U.S. funds. I mean, like we pay taxes, and there's just like billions of dollars that gets funneled into Iran. And they've literally stated that their entire goal is to eventually wipe America off the face of the earth. I mean, it's like it's beyond me. It'd be like it's crazy to me that we spend our money, our government spends our money the way that it does when it comes to foreign aid. It's very lackluster when it comes to actual good allies, actual people actual people who need defending. But then when it comes to people who are like, hey, we really hate you, America, they're like, no, hold on. Let me give you some money and see if this works.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you'll like us after our billions of dollars.
Yeah.
They don't.
It's actually funny because
doesn't work.
all that military aid that was given to Egypt, it wasn't until Trump's administration that the relations between Egypt and Israel were actually better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we see a pattern here, right? The way that, be
careful praising Trump.
We're partial because we're conservative. But the proof is in the pudding, right? And in history, that it seems that Republicans are notoriously better at foreign policy than Democrats, and that's because Democrats just wield money around. They try to solve problems with money. They try to solve problems with just saying fancy things like freedom can't be quenched and stuff like that. When there's no action, there's no backbone behind it. And you can see that with Trump's presidency. I mean, say what you will about Trump with his mouth and his bad tweets, but he definitely was able to, keep North Korea at bay. He was able to keep China at bay. He was able to keep Russia at bay. And we're seeing the exact opposite right now with Biden.
And coincidentally enough, people tried to say like, oh, it's because China bought Trump off. The only evidence we have of China relations with somebody in recent office is Biden,
right?
Because of the Hunter Biden situation.
Right.
So you have this whole string of controversy there that is not being investigated, like the 4 years we had to investigate Russian collusion that was completely fabricated by the Hillary Clinton campaign. So I said that. And then we're talking about there's the whole Ukraine made the Biden family rich. Well, clearly they don't stand behind their allies that make them rich because they're leaving Ukraine out to dry. Leaving them high and dry. So it's funny the countries that the countries that Trump kept under wraps, kept at bay, kept them from making a mess of the world. They tried to say the whole time it's because he's in their pockets. Oh, he's in their pockets, and literally no proof of that whatsoever. No actual all of it conspiracy. No actual proof of anything. You actually have a president that's now sitting, the sitting president who's making an absolute mess of things. There actually is proof of his behavior, his inappropriate behavior with these foreign entities, and everybody's like, well, let's just ignore it. And but hey, at least we joined the Paris Climate Accord.
Yeah. At least we got that going for us.
At least we're not gonna get fried by the sun or something. I don't know.
But yeah,
so
to further your point, it seems that and the reason why this show exists is because the media is not doing us any justice. They're not doing their due diligence, and they're not being fair, and they're not speaking the truth. Part of that with the Ukraine conflict was that they were saying that Trump was always soft on Russia, and that he was always, because he got along with Putin, he was friendly to Putin. And it was funny, we were talking about it. That was one of the reasons why Russia was at bay, was because he was so friendly. Putin was so friendly with Trump, and it's like that's like the complete opposite. Like if you guys were buddy, then you guys would want to help each other, right? So Trump did the opposite. He did not help Russia. He did not give them an opportunity.
actually threatened them with real sanctions.
Right. Threatened,
Actually did real stuff.
threatened him with things that would actually hurt Russia. And
You know, that's actually been one of the big criticisms this week is that Biden was asked specifically if he is able to sanction Putin,
Right.
The president, like the
completely
person.
ignored the question.
So he was asked about the sanctions in Russia. He's like, oh, you know, the Russian people are going to feel these sanctions and yada, 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 which, you know, to give some of the Russians credit, there's actually protests breaking out across Russia right now, even though they are banned. Protests are banned in Russia. There are actually anti-war protests breaking out across Russia. You had that tennis player, I can't name him, but you had that tennis player yesterday, I believe Saturday, maybe Friday. Could have been Friday, that wrote before his tennis match. He went and wrote on the face of the camera, "No war, please," or "Please, no war," something to that effect. So you have Russians who are against this war, against this invasion. So, but he's targeting the Russian people, and then he was specifically asked, "Are there sanctions that you can give against Putin himself?" And he said yes. And then they said, "Well, why aren't you?" And he just completely ignored the question and moved on to the next thing. Like what he refused to answer why he's not sanctioning Putin himself.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't you sanction Putin unless you either have something to benefit or you are worried of the retaliation? You're scared of, if you are scared of Putin, you're not going to do that because you're scared of retaliation, or you have something to gain from what Putin is doing. So, you know, that to me is like the only two options.
Yeah, well said. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up this episode. Yeah. You guys be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will kind of let you enjoy the rest of your day,
Evening,
night, whatever it may be for you.